Hot topic of the day here on Friday, May 30th, morning kick around. I'm Robert. He's Jason, checking in on the state of expansion. USL, there was a ton of news at the first part of the year. Division One league coming, promotion relegation coming. Really sparked a wave of announcements across the country, from teams being announced as existing, teams adding facilities, because there's kind of a little bit of it's to articulate it, a groundswell of action from cities outside of the Major League Soccer, I'd say.
Yeah. This is a growth moment for lower division soccer in America, and we've been talking for months now about what USL is doing to position itself as an important league, and as a league, a different kind of competition, or a different kind of operation, because there are obviously multiple competitions. We are yet to see the firm plans on what that first division is going to look like, or how Pro Rel is going to be integrated into the system. But what we've got is a clear influx of money and interest, and which has sparked some new projects. So where are we starting, Rob? What city do you want to start with here?
I think because it's the most recent news, I think let's start in Detroit, because I think that this action was really motivated by the announcement of Division One. I speculated in one of our videos about who would be a shoe-in for the first year of Division One status. I said I wasn't quite sure if DCFC would be. I was told that that's incorrect, and that would be the target for Detroit City to be a Division One team. And around about a year ago, then DCFC announced that they were intended to build a new stadium, and then this week came out in the local newspapers that a new rendering of their stadium plans and an expansion of more land for more facilities for Detroit City FC. So the headline there: aggressive timeline revealed to build a pro soccer stadium in Detroit. And this would be, I guess, for local relevance, this would be the heaviest and biggest flag planted by club soccer in Southeast Michigan, and probably the state in general.
Yeah, I've kind of always said that soccer teams are only temporary until they build their own stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until they have a place that is theirs, and you identify, it's like the psychology of the community is, oh, they're not going anywhere. They've got a stadium, right? I think that matters for the confidence level and the interest level in town. Now, obviously, Detroit City's done an incredible job building their culture, obviously helped by an incredibly passionate fan base that kind of congregated around the team in the amateur days, and is now with them as they are a professional outfit. The path to this moment was never clear for Detroit City. You know this better than I do, Rob, that they've had to kind of figure out, navigate some treachery and some things. I mean, the NISA and the idea of, like, what professional league were they going to start in? Did they have the backing? Did they have the net worth individual involved to help them get there, who wasn't going to upend what Detroit City represents to their community and to their fan base? Because that was always the fear, right? Like, if you bring in somebody with a bunch of money because you got to meet the professional league standards that U.S. soccer has for second division or third division soccer, that person could say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I'm just going to, bulldoze my way into getting my way. And Detroit City has threaded the needle and found a way to grow and to get to this point with nothing built yet, but still a very aggressive plan, without sort of upending what they were originally meant to be. And I think that's great.
Yeah, if you are somewhat new to this level of play, or just American soccer in general, if you look into the unique storyline of Detroit has had to write their own story, their own path this whole way. And like you said, they've added ownership, and all the sorts of caveats that come with expanding and professionalizing have navigated, you'd say, as well as they probably could, given the hand dealt with the current landscape in American soccer. For context, they started off as an NPSL Summer League team.
Right.
And then I learned that they had, after a few years, they intended to go to the NASL as it was, but the NASL disappeared. So that was not available. And so there was an NPSL Pro, a pro version of Summer League Soccer that lasted one like short season, and then went away. And then they made their way to Nisa, and then Nisa fell out, and they navigated their way to USL Championship with an eye to a first division and plans for a soccer specific stadium. So what a journey there in less than 15 years.
I don't want to just stick on Detroit City. There's other stories we want to get to, but I do want to point out that we have a video from 6 months ago. It's a while ago. Get to know Detroit City with Dion DeJaneiro. He's been one of the leading fan figures in Detroit for a long time. So if you want to learn a bit more about Detroit City, go watch that video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you know when new stuff's coming out. But I was curious. So one more point on Detroit City, Robin, because you know the geography a lot better than I do, being a Michigander. When you move stadiums, right? When you go from one place to another, and this will be the second move for Detroit City, but the first one happened while they were an amateur short league summer team, short summer league schedule, whatever. That, as you said, when you move, sometimes you risk leaving a fan base behind. I think NYCFC was wrestling with this a little bit because they're going to go for the Bronx to Queens. So I pulled up a map. This is just very, very roughly done. But I believe at the top of this, we have Hamtramck and where the stadium is now for Detroit City. And then that lower box is where the stadium is going to be, or the planned stadium is. How far is this and how big of a deal is this for fans of the team if they're used to going to Hamtramck?
I don't think it'll definitely be a habit change and kind of the game day routines that have been developed since they moved to Keyworth in 2017, I believe. In Detroit, we're not populated enough to where like traveling across the city is some crazy burden like it would be in many other cities. They've already moved. So their original venue was Cass Tech High School, which is right by downtown. And in Hamtramck, which is a micro city surrounded by the city. And I actually think that they will add a whole nother demographic and section to their fan base. I don't think they're going to lose at all, Jason, to answer your question more simply.
It makes sense.
Because their core followed them from the high school to Hamtramck, and they've really grown out. And to be fair, most of the locals in that neighborhood, like they do plenty of community action, but you wouldn't say they added the demographic from Hamtramck, and it's a significant part of the fan base. But Southwest Detroit, where they're moving to, is a hugely Hispanic neighborhood that has its own soccer culture that wasn't necessarily coming up to Hamtramck, but I think moving down Southwest is more likely to add a whole nother layer of supporters, to be honest.
Somebody's going to get mad at me, and I want to make sure I'm acknowledging my mistake. My box should be down close to where it says Michigan Central. That box is in the wrong place. It's farther south.
Yeah, it's where the purple logo is. There,
ignore the Woodbridge thing. It should be down there by Michigan Central. But it's a little bit further, but it's still, as you're saying, like maybe not the end of the world in there. How big is this stadium going to be? That's another 15,000. It's right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they've had to, so they're navigating their way up. Like they're inventing a way to promote the American soccer system as it allows now, and 15,000 people is the proposed capacity there. So that would, I think, put them in the running for first division sanctioning.
I believe that's correct. I believe 15,000 is the minimum. Now, again, there will be some waivers. I imagine USL will get some. But if you don't have to have one in Detroit, even better. That waiver can be saved for somebody else who has an 8 or 10 or 12,000 seat stadium. So, yeah, big stuff. All right, what else we got?
Well, probably one of the more recent notes is, so kind of have a little bit of a grab bag here. There is some news of a Central Florida team coming online in the next couple of years. They broke ground on a new stadium in Boise at the beginning of April. So Boise, Idaho, soccer specific stadium. I think it was 5,000 to 6,000. And then also there is a North Texas USL expansion news. That's probably the most new expansion news. So kind of scattershot across the country. Do you want to look at Brian, the Westbrook connection in Oklahoma? Is kind of interesting.
Well, first, I have a family connection to Boise. I'm not from Boise. I've never been to Boise, but my sister lives in Boise, so this is relevant to my interests on some level. And this is a story from last month about the groundbreaking for the new stadium in Boise. I've also been informed, and I don't know, somebody who knows Boise better than me can maybe tell me if this is true. But I've heard Boise has a pretty strong Basque community, that there are actually some
Kidding
people
me.
who moved from Spain and settled in Boise. So I don't know how that impacts the interest in football and soccer and all of that. But obviously, the Basque Country, very soccer rich. In fact, I think like 33% of managers are from the Basque Country these days. They seem like everybody is hiring Basque managers. So I don't know, that is something. You mentioned the Russell Westbrook thing. So here's that. This is from the website for OKC Energy, which I don't think they're going to be called that anymore, right? My understanding is that there will be a name change as they sort of reboot this club, but they have a stadium plan. Populous named Sports Anchored Entertainment District Master Architect, Populous big architect of stadiums around the world. Russell Westbrook to serve as creative director. Man, I don't know. I mean, that's great, I guess. I don't know what that means for what it's going to look like. Like, it could be wild and off the charts insane for if Russell Westbrook's involved in this. But again, look, this is one of those things. Like, I'm not gonna get too weird about Russell Westbrook being a creative director, because soccer in a place like Oklahoma City needs as much help as it can get, getting attention, getting people on board.
Yeah, interesting development. And forgive me for not knowing my my basketball players well enough. Is Russell Westbrook the kind of guy that shows up in like wild, like fashion first stuff to the games, like some crazy fits and whatnot? Is he one of those guys?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He is not. He is somebody who likes to fly his flag. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is out there peacocking a bit. So that again, that could be a good thing. Like, that could be an interesting thing for soccer in Oklahoma City. And it does feel like you've got a group behind this new bid who's going to do it right. Again, the thing that stopped OKC Energy in its tracks was the lack of a stadium plan. They couldn't get across the line. So now you have new people involved, new ownership. Korjeski, I think, is involved there, formerly an executive with USL. So yeah, there's something good there happening. I would love to see, and I'm sure that we could find a rendering of what's going on in Oklahoma City, Rob. But what else do we have?
In the chat, Ryan puts a good note in that Fort Wayne FC is well underway on their new stadium for USL 1. So that's a very interesting development with DeMarcus Beasley fronting that team. Also in the chat, there was another one. Sacramento apparently has some new renderings coming out with their new stadium project as well. Maybe not quite as grounded in reality, but fun nonetheless. Is what do we think about American soccer on a blue field, a la the Boise State football program?
Oh man, I'd have to think about that one. I'd have to think of that. It works for Boise State because they're so unique, and you're kind of like, okay, whatever. They're a second tier football power. I know they've achieved some things. I'm not trying to take away their achievements, but they weren't in a Power 5 conference and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I think we need to avoid making American soccer that weird. I like it being weird, but I don't like football lines, and that would be kind of in that same realm of like bastardizing the playing surface. No.
I mean, I'm already I think plagued is probably the right word. I mean, going back to the Detroit thing, thank God there's going to be a field that doesn't have football lines, because 99% of the fields that are played in the state have football lines on it. So that'll be a great note for them. And yeah, adding blue plus football lines, I think my head would probably explode there. But great to see expansion and the progress, because there was a point in one of the videos, it was like, is this a false dawn or is this like truly a new era? So with shovels going in the grounds across the country, you'd think that
Yeah.
we're continuing the positivity here.
Let me come back to Oklahoma City for just a second. So this is a shot of like the geography of this. Apparently, that news sports anchored entertainment district is where the team would be building their stadium. Again, Russell Westbrook involved. I guess they're also planning a new arena for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm not up on that, so don't get mad at me if this is wrong. And then this is the rendering. I think we shared this a while back when we did some renderings or shared some. I don't know. Like this, first of all, it's blurry, so my apologies there. But second of all, these things are usually just placeholders in the early stages of a process. So I don't think this is like, well, probably won't end up looking exactly like this. But if they did build a stadium like this in Oklahoma City, that would be incredible. I would be very on board for that. And I'm definitely with Ian. I almost like the renderings more than the actual thing. Right? Because it's just imagination. Like you can, and plus there's always weird AI people, not AI people, rendered people walking around like on their cell phones for no reason. Like, what are you doing?
The uplighting and the roofs are never as cool as they are in the renderings. The roofing, it's easier to draw like really cool creative roofs than it is to actually build it, I think.
And if there are cost overruns, what's the first thing to go, Rob?
Roof, get out of here.
No roof. If we don't have enough cash, cut the roof. Now everybody's going to sit in the blazing hot sun.
Yeah. And it's like such a, one of the most like simple, important things, like shade is, or staying out from the rain is just like basic, like take care of your people that are paying you. But it's one of the things that always gets tossed out the window here. But to wrap up the segment, great to see positive energy and actions still taking place with all these, it's not just press briefings that come out in the news and disappear. So it's good to see that. And we also have lots of videos covering our proposed Division 1 teams, expansion in Buffalo. So check out the Morning Kick Around video thread. Lots of great stuff in this kind of conversation. Follow us on well, let's start here. Subscribe, Morning Kick Around here. Step 2, become a member, join the Discord, enjoy the chat, priority commenting on the videos, and early access, and so much more. And then if you want to support outside of the YouTube sphere, coffee.com/morningkickaround, and look up our videos on Spotify.